Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from Millbury, we have Dennis Bates with us, and he's the executive director of the Sunrise Detox Center in Millbury. Welcome, Dennis.
Thanks, Jan.
This is so much needed. We were just talking. There aren't that many detox centers anymore. Back in the 80s, I think there were more, weren't there?
Yeah, there was a significant cut in funding in the late 80s and 90s, and now with the pandemic, I should say, it's not even an epidemic anymore, with the pandemic that's hitting not only the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but all of New England and all of the country. We're starting to see more reopen, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, the 6 New England states, 4 of the 6 are in the top 11 in the country for overdose rates per capita.
Massachusetts is one of them.
Massachusetts is definitely one of them.
Why do you think that is?
I think availability. It's coastal.
Yeah.
It's fairly close to the Canadian border.
Yeah.
So,
You know, Dennis and I were talking about the great debate. They call alcoholism or addiction a disease, and I think of it as a disorder. To me, with disease, it's like cancer. Do you know where I'm coming from? It's hard for me to figure this out.
well, and that's been the debate for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of the people that come into our facility are in a state of dis-ease.
They're very sick.
They're very sick, and when H.M. Jelinek presented this to the American Medical Association as alcoholism in 1956, it has signs and symptoms. It's primary. It's chronic, and that's when the AMA came out and called it a disease in 1956. So. I don't really, I'm a solution-focused therapist, and solution-focused therapy basically is we really don't care what got you here as much as where do you want to go.
Exactly.
And how can we help you from this point. So Sunrise, we're looking at the issue and the patients that are there and trying to help them move from that point rather than let's focus on what got you here.
Exactly, because you could drive yourself nuts. Some people come in, what I've heard in recovery, their parents didn't drink, their grandparents didn't drink. Where the heck did this come from?
Well, I mean, by the time a kid's 9 years old, he's seen 30,000 beer commercials.
Or wine and stuff like that. You never don't,
If you don't think that's imprinted on a child's brain, of course it is. And have you ever seen an ugly person in a beer commercial?
No.
I mean, they promise you a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I was growing up a few years ago, a right into adulthood was having a drink.
Yeah.
Wasn't it for you?
No. I grew up in a family. My parents didn't drink. My grandparents didn't drink.
Mm-hmm.
So by the first time I was, 21 and taken on a date, I was introduced to a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that's nice. But to me, it was foreign.
Correct.
Totally foreign. It wasn't a moral thing. It just wasn't there.
Just wasn't there.
Now, how did you get over to Sunrise? It's still new, kind of, isn't it?
Yeah, I joined Sunrise a little over a year ago. I've been in the field for about 23 years. Sunrise has been around for about 15 years. They started in Florida. They have now 3 detoxes in Florida. They have 3 in New Jersey, 1 in Atlanta, actually Alpharetta, which is outside of Georgia. Now we opened the one in Millbury.
How long has the Millbury one been there?
We actually opened our doors November 9th.
Just last year.
4 months ago. We got our Joint Commission accreditation, which is very difficult to get.
JACO, is it?
Oh, it's not JACO anymore.
No.
It's called the Joint Commission. If you call them JACO, they get offended.
I know UMass goes through that.
Yeah, we don't call them JACO. But we got the accreditation on January 10th, 2 months after we opened.
Were you already hired to be there?
Yes, I was already there.
So you were waiting,
I've been within a year. I actually spent during the weeks in my weekdays at work. I spent for the first 5 months. I was in Toms River, New Jersey location.
Okay.
At their location there, they get an understanding of the systemic flow, the culture of Sunrise, which I really like, and I'm on the Massachusetts Bureau of Substance Abuse Counselors, the Board of Certification. On the Board of Directors.
What makes Sunrise stand out in the detox system?
A lot of things. I'll tell you, number one, the accommodations are second to none.
Like, is it like a motel room, or what's it like?
It's very comfortable. For years, detoxes, you wore They were hospital-based.
Yeah.
You wore the gowns with your butt hanging out and smiley slippers, and you were shamed. This is non-shaming, non-judgmental. And when you come into rooms, very comfortable. You wear your own clothes.
Yeah. Do you get a roommate, or is it all by yourself?
There are private rooms, but you usually share with a roommate. But there's a TV in the room. You have a private bathroom. But what I really like about Sunrise is their focus on the next level of care.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in the old days, they would go to a detox. They would get, because the job of a detox is medical stabilization.
Yeah.
The fact that they get groups, they see a nutritionist, we have a chef there, are all secondary to. Our job is to medically stabilize you.
There's a doctor on call, right?
We have a medical director. We have NPs in there daily. There's nurses there around the clock. There's techs there around the clock. The staffing patterns in Massachusetts are probably the strictest of any state in the.
That's good.
It is. It really is.
How do they find you? Are you referred to? I had well, you're brand new open here in Millbury, but for people out there, how do they get a hold of Sunrise?
There's a lot of ways through the internet. We have a lot of referrals through the internet, Jan. They can dial our call center, which is based in Florida. It's 888-443. I think it's 3689 or 3869. I think I have it in front of me.
So they would go through that.
They would call there first, and we have a pre-screen done.
Okay.
And what's great about our pre-screens, if you're not appropriate for our level of care, or if you don't have the coverage to cover our level of care, we're going to help.
Right? Yeah. We're going to talk about that.
We're going to help you find a place that will accept your insurance.
They will help you on
Absolutely.
the phone. They're not going to say, "Oh, sorry, we can't take you."
We can't say absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely
Do you ever
not.
work in tandem with AdCare in Worcester?
Not now. We're so new. We haven't yet.
Yeah.
If we certainly, when people leave, if they don't want to do residential treatment, which we always recommend.
Yeah.
If it's serious enough for detox, it's serious enough for next level of care. But a lot of times, in a lot of cases, people can't do that. They have a full-time job. They can't get the time out of work. So we've referred to local facilities such as AdCare, Washburn House. We have a great relationship with all the providers. If they want to do an intensive outpatient program or a partial hospitalization where they can be at home and still work. It's not about competition anymore.
No.
It's we were talking earlier, you could put another 300 or 400 beds in Massachusetts. It probably wouldn't be enough for what we're seeing.
Well, you're located right opposite the Did you tell me the Millbury Credit
Right
Union?
across the street from the mill. It used to be a nursing home.
I know that so well, that it was a nurse. How long ago did that nursing home close? I remember seeing it over the years it was open.
Yeah, I think I got involved again about a year ago with, a little over a year ago with luckily enough, with Sunrise. And they had been closed, I think, the nursing home for 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
So Sunrise went in and gutted it. And there's all new plumbing, all new electrical, all new everything is.
How many bedrooms?
There's 39 beds.
Good.
With one suite, a private room.
Yeah.
There's nurses on around the clock. Like I said, we have all credentialed clinicians on during the day, every day until 8 o'clock at night. We have recovery specialists. They're called techs that are on around the clock. So we have a chef. We have 2 chefs.
That's good. They need to eat. Vitamin B, I heard, was very
B and
important.
B12.
B12.
B and B12. Yep.
Why?
Just the way, and I'm not an MD, but the way your body metabolizes certain drugs that really deplete you of a lot of the vitamins.
That's why they feel so sick and tired.
Exactly, and logy. So we have a nutritionist. So if someone comes in and they're hypertensive, they have a heart issue,
or
diabetic, or
Yep.
even an eating disorder that hasn't been active in a while, then we'll have a nutritionist consult with them too.
So if somebody come to call and they're going to come in their first day, if you want to recover from detox, from alcoholism, addiction.
Well, not just alcohol.
No, any addiction.
Yeah,
right?
opiates, benzodiazepines.
So they come in the front. They come in the door.
Yep.
I think the fear is, okay, now what? Am I trapped? What happens?
We flog them. No, I'm kidding. We don't.
No, you're not flogged. No, you are welcomed.
They are most certainly welcomed, and they'll meet with a tech as soon as they come in. They'll be greeted. Yeah. Of course, we're going to search all their belongings.
Sure.
We're going to search them to make sure they're not bringing anything in.
And you're not doing it to be mean. You're doing it to protect them and other people there.
Well, in the safety of the mill unit itself.
Yeah.
But they're also going to have a full health and H&P assessment done, a full biopsych, social, and clinical intake done.
Psych done too? Psych?
Well, we're not going to do a full psych evaluation. It'd be kind of unethical if someone is in withdrawal, or if they're in active addiction,
they're not going to be themselves.
or if they're on any kind of detox medications. You really can't get an accurate read on where they are psychiatrically. Now, our medical director, Dr. Philippe Soufi, is a psychiatrist, so he can consult, but we're not going to do any kind of psychiatric evaluation while someone is in detox. Again, do you remember the show MASH?
Yeah.
We're kind of like a MASH unit.
Okay.
We get it medically stabilized, and then we get into the next best level of care. And what I like about Sunrise, as soon as someone comes in, we start attending the patient.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Are they assigned a private counselor?
They're assigned a different counselor every day, so they get the best of everybody.
Oh, how cool is that?
But when I mention attending the patient, every day we have a multidisciplinary meeting. So we have the techs in there, we have the nurses in there, we have the clinicians in there, and we're saying, what are you seeing? We'll ask the housekeepers, what are you seeing? We'll ask the chefs, what are you seeing? So we can get a real good assessment on, because they might act one way in front of a clinician and be on the floor be completely different.
And not be eating the way they should.
Exactly. So we attend the patient, and the average stay is a little over 6 days.
6 days?
6 days.
I remember when there used to be people who would say they could stay for 30 days.
Yeah, and Governor Baker they came out with the act, you have to cover for 14 days in residential.
Okay. Yeah.
But from an ethical standpoint, if they're medically stabilized, we don't want to keep them just to keep them. We want them to get them to the next best level of care, because, again, my clinicians are qualified to do therapy, but, Jan, they're not going to do therapy.
No.
That would be unethical. Can you imagine starting a therapeutic relationship with somebody and then in 5 days going,
bye,
good luck with that?
Yeah.
And they leave with Pandora's box. So they'll encourage, they'll case manage, they'll cajole, they'll use solution-focused approaches, a lot of motivational interviewing to keep them focused on the next level of care. And then the therapy can start when they get to the next level. They get to that residential
This is
program.
do you have AA meetings go there? And
We do. We have
NA?
AA and NA both come in at nights.
Oh, cool.
So they have a meeting. They have 5 meetings a day. They have a meditation meeting in the morning.
Okay. What time do they have to get up?
Well, breakfast is at 8:30.
Okay.
Medications are at 9. So we don't force people to go. You know, remember the old place? You got to go to group.
I heard about this.
Can you imagine being in a hospital and them telling you?
Yeah, no.
I mean, so
especially
we
if you're feeling
encourage
sick
that.
as a
but
dog.
if they're feeling sick, we really want them to feel well and recover with dignity. But there's 2 groups in the morning. There's 2 groups in the afternoon. The AA and NA come in
How
the
about
evenings.
Art and fun.
Art
fun
therapy
things.
we're going to be bringing in.
That's a good one.
It is. But again, art therapy, we really don't want to get into a therapy relationship with somebody.
No, just a fun thing.
No, there's
Fun.
a lot of experiential fun games there.
That's...
They have a recovery Jeopardy game they do.
Yeah.
All the groups are very experiential and interactive with the patients.
How about painting? The coloring books for adults now?
They do have coloring books for people in their off time.
Yep.
There's also... we have a lot of educational books, whether it's the Big Book of AA or the Basic Text of NA or the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, or just coloring books or something to occupy their time. But they're pretty busy during the day.
Do you have Al-Anon meetings here too for the family and
Not
fun?
yet, but we are going to be doing in the future a lot of meetings for the community in the basement.
I love it. That's
we'll be
so
redoing this.
important.
Well, it's not just Al-Anon. I don't know if you're familiar with Learn to Cope.
I've heard of it.
Which is a great adjunct to it's an Al-Anon concept, but a little bit different. And they've really grown well, specifically with families that are struggling with family members that are addicted to opiates. So we're going to have Learn to Cope. We want to do community educational series for the people in the community to understand that.
We're talking with Dennis Bates, and he is the executive director of Sunrise Detox Center over in Millbury. What is the address again?
It's 29 North Main Street.
Across from the Millbury Credit Union. Used to be the nursing home over there.
Google doesn't like us, though.
Why?
If you put in 29 North Main Street, I don't know where the heck you end up, but it's one of the oddest things. Everyone that's come to visit us,
They zoom right by.
they zoom by. So
That's how it happens here, too. It's like the Bermuda Triangle.
I actually did do a U-turn down the road.
So did you just relied on your GPS? Didn't I send you directions?
You did.
But you got to follow them because
I
this
do,
is like
but
a triangle.
it's like texting and driving. I can't read and drive.
We had guests sail right into Milford.
Yeah, I didn't make it to Milford, thank goodness. So I just made it to the little truck stop right around the corner.
Okay,
and turned
well,
around.
that's good.
But we are right on Main Street in Millbury.
Now, if you would like to get into recovery detox, you got one right here in Millbury. What's the telephone number again?
It's 888. I should put my glasses on if I still
I'll read it
have
for
them.
you.
Please do.
Oh boy, 888 toll free, 888-443-3869.
3869.
Okay, that's not direct Millbury, but they are there for you, and they
Correct.
will direct you if you can get to Millbury. Right.
Right. That's our call center.
Yeah.
That's manned 24/7. And by the way, we take admissions 24/7.
Oh, you can go in there day or night.
Day or night. We had an admission come in at 1 this morning.
Do they come by ambulance, or they walk in? Or how do they get there?
Actually, families bring them. We'll pick them up.
In an ambulance?
No, this is what's called a level 3.7, so it's not a hospital-based.
Yeah.
It's a freestanding detox. So part of the pre-screen, if we think they need a hospital-based detox, if they ever have other co-occurring significant medical issues, we're going to say, you know what,
You need to
we
go
would
over
love
it.
to treat you, but let's get you hooked up with a hospital-based unit. So most people come in on their own volition. There's no Section 35s there, as the courts would say.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a ride, we'll pick them up. And if they successfully complete treatment, we'll bring them home or bring them to the next level of care.
Well, an NA
And we don't charge for that, by the
That's
way.
called a 12-step
12-step
visit.
call, right.
A 12-step call. So you send one of your staff out to get the person.
We have specific drivers,
Day and night.
day and night.
So the person calls you and say, I think I'm ready, or
They
I
call
feel
the
horrible,
call center. Yeah, I'm ready to come in.
but I can't get there.
Well, let's get some information first. Tell me about yourself. What have you been using? How long
Yeah.
have you been using it for?
Yeah.
They're going to get all that information. Have you been in treatment before? Have you ever overdosed? They're going to get all this information and go through it. And tell me about your insurance. Are you covered? If not, how can we help you? And if everything works out, and they say, I don't have a ride, where are you at?
I love it.
We'll
How
be
far
glad
will
to
you
pick
go?
you up. It's usually a 90-mile radius.
That's pretty good.
Which covers most of it. Well, at least Boston all the way out to Pittsfield. We've had people come up from New Jersey where we had our drivers in Jersey drive the person halfway, and our other driver met him halfway and brought him. So,
That is an awesome program. I've never heard of that.
well, people are dying, Jim.
Yeah.
And it's if you think about it, more people overdosed last year than were killed in the Vietnam War.
I read that online, I think.
We lost 58,000 lives in Vietnam, 62,000 people
And it's climbing.
overdosed
It's
last
still
year.
going.
It is still going. And we're starting to see an increase with substance abuse in the elderly, too.
Yes, in the elderly, our senior citizens. Is that from depression, do you think?
So there's a lot of factors, I think, play into that. I think it's loneliness. It could be depression. Could be isolation.
Yeah.
Because their families, the kids are grown and out doing things. Could be the fact that they're the contraindications of what other medications they might be on, along with if they're drinking. We know that the liver works at about 50% of the rate than a younger kids does, so they're holding the drug. So there's a lot of factors that can play into that.
Say somebody comes in, Dennis, and they're coming off alcohol. Let's say they've been taking Valium too, but not in handfuls. But over the years, it creeps up on them. They come in and they're now in a state of panic disorder. How would you handle somebody who's probably watching out there, thinking, "Oh my God, I have panic. What am I going to do? What are they going to do for me? I think I'll go nuts."
We see that almost on a daily basis.
The panic of coming off of it.
Well, it's the fear of the unknown.
And it's like Linus with your blankie. They don't.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it's like they're breaking up with their lover.
Yeah.
In fact, I was talking to a fellow the other day, and I said, "Do you remember your first breakup?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you remember the sting?" And he agreed. And I said, "Well, do you see a parallel here?"
Yeah.
Because with the people we deal with, almost every emotion they feel in their life, even though they might value their family, their career, their God, every emotion they feel in their life, even though they value one thing, they go to use because that's their coping mechanism.
Yeah, that's their cope.
Every event that happens in their life, even though they value those things, they go to what do you do on your birthday? I drink.
Yeah.
What do you do on New Year's Eve? I drink. What do you do on the 4th of July? I drink. St. Patrick's Day coming up. I drink.
Happy or sad occasion doesn't matter.
Correct. So 90% of every emotion, every event in their that happens in their life, even though their value system is here, they go to use.
I got a question for you, Dennis. If somebody's been in recovery, I don't know. I think they used to say it was you had to have at least 2 years of recovery before you could become a counselor or be on board. Do you take in people who they can help and on staff who are in recovery? I mean, a solid long-term recovery.
Well, I'm certainly not going to talk about somebody else's recovery, but if someone does have sustained remission in and they're interested in the field or they've worked in the field, absolutely.
So they could come in and say, gee, I'd like to apply for...
Probably a tech job, and depending on their education, do they have the credentials to be a clinician? Are they working to be a clinician? Are they already licensed?
What if they're not? What if they're just, let's say they've been in AA for 40 years and they want to come in?
Yeah, AA is not treatment, it's community support.
So if that person comes in with that kind of sobriety and that background, I would think they would be great to be able to sit down and talk with that person because they've been there, done it.
It can really help. But I'll tell you what, I have employees in recovery, and we really don't want them talking about their recovery, because it's not about their recovery.
No, but they can at least let on,
they
like,
can say,
I know.
I understand where you're
I
coming
know where you're
from.
coming from.
Correct. So that we do have people in all across the field, in every facility, there's people in recovery.
I love that. Okay, we're talking again with Dennis Bates, and he is the executive director of the Sunrise Detox Center over in Millbury. And again, here's the telephone number. Free, 888-443-3869. And if you are a family member or if you yourself would like to get off the pills, the booze, or whatever it is, feel free to call this number. No shame, no problem. They'll talk to you.
It's
Now,
non-shaming, it's solution-focused.
You know what? And the thing is, I think that shaming thing is going out.
Slowly.
Oh.
We're still fighting the stigma, though.
It's crazy. Why would anybody want to shame someone who... I don't think people are born, okay, I'm going to be an alcoholic today. I'm going to be a drug addict today.
No one chooses that.
No, and you don't choose your
chooses
family genes either.
You don't. And we know that there's an addictive gene. We know it's hereditary.
Is it a gene that you're missing, or is it a gene that's there? Is the missing to be able to...
Yes and yes.
Yeah, oh, God. Oh, no, what's yes and yes?
And again, I'm not a physician, but the Harvard School of Addictions did some great research on this. There is an addictive gene there.
So that means that it latches on to the booze or the drug faster than a regular person would.
Well, I was at a training, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago, in the University of USC out of California did this also, where they took children of substance-dependent, alcohol-dependent kids. They were children of alcohol-dependent parents.
Yeah.
And children of non-alcohol-dependent parents.
Yeah.
And they were all 18, and none of them had ever drank.
Yeah.
Now, where they found that many 18-year-olds that never drank, who the hell knows? But pardon my cussing. But what they found was the children of the non-alcoholics, it took them about 13 or 14 ounces of alcohol, of beer, till they started showing some kinds of impairment. So whether they started slurring their words or there was a little something in their balance. The children of the alcoholics, it took about 27 ounces. So there was almost a built-in tolerance, which is frightening.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So they're finding out now that if you become addicted, you have more of a tolerance, and it's going to take more to get you there.
Oh, absolutely.
Than a person who doesn't have the gene or whatever the heck.
We have people come in now. The legal limit is 0.08.
Yeah.
If you were at a 0.08, or if Paul, your cameraman, was at a 0.08 or a 0.10, they would be really tipsy.
Yeah.
We have people come in at a 0.35, at a 0.40 that are 5 times the legal limit, walking and talking.
They're used to it.
They're very lucid. They have the built-in tolerance. They have the tolerance.
Dealing with parents and family members, that's got to be tough.
Critical.
What do you do? What's the service over there for that?
Well, first of all, if we can't contact the family unless we have a signed release of information, because we're still bound not only under HIPAA laws, but under what's called 42 CFR Part 2, which is actually a little stricter than HIPAA.
Yeah.
So we're bound under those laws. So if they do sign a release, one of the advantages of talking to the family, you're getting a more accurate history and you're getting the other side of the coin. Because a lot of what we do in admitting them is based on what they're reporting.
Yeah.
And if they're under the influence, you don't know the accuracy of that.
No.
Which is why we do a full H&P after they're there, which is a history and physical. We do a full clinical intake and biopsychosocial assessment. But it's critical we talk with the family and get a history and corroborate or not corroborate what they're telling us.
When you take the family, you got the elephant in the living room. They don't. The patient wants to get well, but the family, like, oh no, it's not that bad.
Oh, some of them are. Some of them are just saying, I don't want anything more to do with them.
I don't want anything more to do with them.
Yeah.
I get that. But if that person is going in and making the attempt at detox, you got to cheer them on.
Can you imagine saying that about your child if they had any other disease?
If what?
If they had any other disease?
No, you would. If they had diabetes, you're not going to say, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with you."
Oh, his cancer came back? Forget it. I don't want to talk to you.
No.
So,
It's the behaviors that go with it.
Mhm.
It's almost like a sociopathic thing when they're really hyped up and everything. It's scary to those who don't get it. Very scary. But that's not the real person.
of course it is. There's an addictive self and there's a sober self. And,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of famous people that have struggled with this issue.
Was it Robin Williams? I said, gosh, who was Anthony Bourdain? That famous. Both of them killed themselves.
Oh, the list goes on. Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix,
Yeah.
John Belushi, John Candy, Anthony. You know, it goes to who wrote The Old Man and the Sea?
Yeah, Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway.
Remember Spock on Star Trek?
Leonard Nimoy.
Did you? I was amazed when Bill Shatner outed Leonard Nimoy on, was it a Carson show? I'm like, what did you just do?
And he died. He was in recovery 26 years.
Yeah, I think it's because of his smoking. He had a lung problem.
Yep.
But I don't know if I'd been Leonard Nimoy, if I wouldn't have been too pleased, because it's an anonymous program. And there's Bill Shatner sitting.
Well, AA is anonymous.
That's what I mean. And why
right.
would Bill have? He just have not have realized.
Well, he might not have. Again, it shows you what we're up against from a societal standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, Nancy Reagan said, God bless her, she had the great intentions, but just say no.
Yeah.
You're kidding. It's just like looking at your pancreas and saying, okay, I need more sugar now.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
No. What's the age limit there that you take in for people who are
18 and up.
18 and up. If a 16 or 17-year-old comes to you and is sick as a dog, you send them over to UMass?
Well, we're going to help them find. There's detoxes, probably hospital-based at that age. There's a couple adolescent, which I never even liked that word, adolescent programs to deal with kids struggling.
Yeah.
There's one right in Worcester, but UMass Memorial and get them through to the ER probably be the best start.
Yeah, there's one. Is it called the Bridge? Something.
There's a bridge. There's the castle in Brockton. So there's a few for adolescents in the area.
And I know there's one in Fitchburg. I can't think of the name of it. Oh, God. They're all... And RFK, the Robert F. Kennedy School, it's like a private school, but, your insurance covers it for a lot of behavioral issues, too. And they'll take probably that type of thing. This is a great brochure, and Dennis is going to put them up downstairs
You'll
at the
actually see the
library.
room if you want to open it up.
Yeah. It shows you the map on the back where they're located. And these rooms, hardwood floors, and, they really did do it up in there, didn't they? Holy mackerel. They've got one of those fireplace.
It's recovery with dignity.
Yeah, and then they've got a TV. How much are they allowed to watch TV, though?
Well, in their spare time, they're more than welcome to.
Okay.
But there's 5 or 6 groups a day.
Yep.
Plus, they're going to be meeting with the clinicians. There's med times during the day and in the evening. So the med times are at 9, 3, and 9. So there's medications. They're going to be meeting with the clinicians. They're going to be meeting with the nurses. They're going to be meeting with the NPs.
But what if you can't go to
going
sleep at 9
groups.
o'clock?
You don't have to go to bed.
You
at
don't
9.
have to.
Oh, absolutely not.
What do you do with somebody who does not feel up to getting even out of that bed? They're so sick.
We'll go to them.
You bring the meeting to them?
Well, the clinician will go in and sit with them. Absolutely.
Good. Because I heard
Absolutely.
that can be very scary.
We do a lot of bedside, and if they're that sick where they can't ambulate, we're going to get them to the hospital.
That's excellent. This is so modern. You have huge windows. Do you have a library?
We're working on that.
I can think about that along with the coloring and, even clay. Something that, mindless that you could just focus on.
Even squeeze balls.
The squish, yeah,
Right.
the stress balls.
Right, we have those.
Dennis, this has been great. We're going to have Dennis back on again.
Anytime.
Heads up, Dal. Not yet. They don't take Medicaid or Medicare.
Correct.
Okay, but you take a bunch of others.
Yeah, any insurance it's called a PPO.
Okay.
But call our call center at the 888-443. Is it 3689? What's the
Yeah,
number?
3869.
3869.
Right.
And
Aetna, Humana, Sigma, United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that's just right now.
Right, and again, we've been open for 3.5 months.
Yeah.
So we're pretty excited that right now we're almost 2/3 full, and we have 39 beds, and I think the most we've seen in the first couple months is 27 or 28 patients, which is a lot. Having just opened, and
Do you ever watch Intervention?
no,
I've watched it.
no, because I do it all day.
Yeah.
It's like
I
being
watch
a
it.
chef and go home and watching,
My husband
Guy
can't watch
Fieri.
it.
I just
I think it's too depressing, but I say, no, I watch it because I'm like this for the happy ending, for
Jan.
them getting sober.
we get to promote hope every day.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good gig.
Do you actually, do you serve also besides executive director? Are you a counselor there?
Oh, I'm a therapist. I'm the clinical director there too, and I'm on the floor every day.
So if somebody want to go in there, seeing you on television, can they request you, Dennis?
I'll sit with any patient at any time.
Dennis Bates over in Millbury at the Sunrise Detox Center. Dennis Bates, if you've seen him, you think you can really groove with him and talk with him, you want to get clean and sober, you're not going to say no.
No,
You're going to meet with them.
we are, and we're going to help them get to the next level of care.
And they'll come get
based
you
on
if you
how
can't
they
get
present.
there.
Correct.
24/7, they're open, okay? And it's close by, This is terrific. I don't know where I read about, there was an article in one of the newspapers all about this. And I said, oh my God. Finally. And then there's something called Washburn House. What is that?
Yeah, they're a similar facility that's also in Millbury. I'm not that. We've
No.
referred people over to their outpatient.
You're in a great location because you're near all the major routes.
And we have relationships with all the residential programs all throughout New England and actually all throughout the country.
Right.
Because as big as Sunrise has grown, they've still kept that humble side to them. So we can, if someone, say, is a first responder and he's a police officer and he doesn't want to be local but he really wants to help, we have specific programs for first responders that once we get them stabilized, we can get them to.
That's awesome.
So we have relationship with treatment centers all around the country.
Yeah.
Even more importantly, we have clinical outreach people, Jan, that go out and vet out the ones that we really don't think.
And this is anonymous. If you go in over here, it's not going to be blabbered to everybody in the
It
world.
won't be in the Worcester Telegram.
No, it's
or
not going to be in the
Gazette,
Telegram. Before we close,
Sure.
Dennis, how did you get interested in this?
My background is in engineering, and I got into recovery long time ago. And long story short, a meatloaf got me into this business.
A meatloaf?
A meatloaf, yeah. Someone asked, there was an old detox in Pittsfield named the Doyle Detox. It's since been closed and razed. And they asked me if I knew how. I was wondering, do I want to get back on the road? Do I want to start consulting architects again? And someone asked me if I knew how to make a meatloaf, because the cook at this detox had called in. Now, this is 1995, 96. So it was an old Victorian house, and I went over and made a meatloaf for 12 or 15 people.
Yeah.
But it was open. I got to talk with them.
Yeah,
And I remember leaving there going, holy cow.
I like it.
I just got to actually promote hope with people that felt no hope whatsoever.
Because you had been invited to make a meatloaf.
And how rewarding, just to give back. And it was so rewarding, I went back to school.
Yeah. And it's not there anymore.
No, but there's the, it's, again, you talked about the detox availability in
Yeah.
Massachusetts, which was one of the major reasons Sunrise came in,
Yeah.
is based on need. Is in Berkshire County, there's, 110,000 people and 20 detox beds. So
You hear that? There's only 20 detox beds in Berkshire County. That's not good. Dennis, thanks for being with us. We're going to have
My
it back on
pleasure.
again. We want
I
to get the
appreciate
word
it.
out again. If you would like to get clean and sober, all right, there is an 888 number, 888-443-3869. That'll take you into the main headquarters of Sunrise. And you can say where you're from, if you'd like to go over to the Millbury one or whatever. They'll hook you up. They'll ask you questions. It's anonymous, and they'll try and give you some real good help here.
and we certainly
And
will.
you can certainly ask to see Dennis if you go over to the Millbury
Look
one.
forward to seeing you.
All right. We'll see you next time. I'll be my
Jan,
guest.
thanks so much. Thank